Am I just looking? I'm looking at the top. Okay.
Hey, Nneka, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hey. Okay, we're going to start with questions. We will start with Holly Rowe with ESPN.
Okay.
Hey, Nneka, just wanted to see how you're balancing your responsibility as the union president in the bubble. So if issues arise or problems happen, how you're balancing that with your responsibilities as a player.
I gotta say, I'm still learning how to balance it. It started with the job, of course, but right when we got into negotiations for the CBA, I experienced a certain level of responsibility that I learned quickly, that the role kind of what's expected of the role, but then entering a negotiation that I did not anticipate with the pandemic, it's caused a lot of balancing. It's been quite challenging. Really just because of what's on everybody's plate. It's been a lot, but I have an amazing team on the executive committee and of course the staff, and then working with Kathy and the league it's been a great experience, really. I feel as though we're kind of redefining this relationship between the players and the league, and as you can imagine, in the Wubble, it's also another balancing act. I feel as though I need to make myself accessible to a lot of the players and of course staff, so that we can really address everyone's concerns and do what we were geared to do in this bubble, what we're so passionate about, both playing and also amplifying our voice. So it's still kind of a work in progress, but I'm very grateful to be holding the role.
Thank you. Go to Tukni with the LA Times.
Hi, Nneka. So we've obviously seen several different players for various reasons decide, yes, I'm ready to play, no, I'm not ready to play. For you, what kind of went into the decision when you were assessing your own personal risk during this pandemic to say, yeah, I'm ready to go into the Wubble, as we're calling it?
For me personally, and it's interesting, a lot of people don't ask me this because I think that they assume that because I'm the president, that I just am automatically gung-ho for everything. Which is not the case. I think that I had to be more deliberate on how I decided to kind of navigate the negotiations, understand what I was entering with, the situation at hand and the season ahead of us, and kind of assessing my own personal kind of, I guess, priorities, as you can say. And so for me, health was a big one, not just COVID, but also, the circumstances of not playing for 5 months and then entering high performance kind of rigor, quite quickly, given the 5 months that we hadn't been playing. Those were heavy on my mind. And then a non-negotiable for me was speaking out as a player in this world that we experience so much racism and social injustice. So those were kind of the variables that I was considering to make my decision to come and play. And I'm happy to be here.
Miriam Swanson with the LA Daily News.
Hey, Nneka, thanks for chatting. So you mentioned sort of making yourself accessible to so many different people. What are some of the issues that have come up that you find yourself dealing with, like in the last couple of days?
Well, as you come in as the union, where it's important for us to ensure that players' rights and the resources that are guaranteed to them and that are laid out for them is what is happening. And so as people came in, of course, we have so many different variables, whether it's certain players testing positive and then people coming in on different types of flights, and of course us all entering a space that we've never been in before. You could just get questions, whether it's about food, whether it's about where you're living, lodging, amenities and such. So that was very much what the last 4 days have been for me. Just kind of constantly trying to work through a lot of housekeeping and kinks, because it's new. It's not just new for us, it's also new for IMG. And so everyone is on the same side here. We all want this to go very well. We all want everyone to be safe and healthy. And I try to kind of appease a lot of those concerns and feedback, whether it's from the players, through the players, to the league, to IMG, so that we can really get to solution-based kind of action. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I continue to do so, but it's tapered down as people have settled in.
Thank you. We'll go over to Cheryl Coward with Hoopfeed.
Hi, Nneka. I know you've been busy, getting there and settling in, but given the social justice initiatives that the league has announced, have you had any time to actually plan some details of what's going to happen in the next few weeks and maybe give us an idea of what they will be in? Are you meeting? Is the Social Justice Committee meeting on a regular basis? And how does that work as far as time management and everything?
Yeah, so my first vice president, Lasia Clarendon, is kind of the head of that. And then, of course, I'm a part of it as well. The Social Justice Council has been chatting and meeting on a regular basis, and along with projects that they're interested in rolling out, one of which is, the opening of a weekend that would hopefully be able to signify and commemorate Black Lives Matter and say her name, of which we don't want to be limited to just opening the season with it. We want to be able to commemorate and bring awareness and hopefully action to many of the things we've been doing. And although we're in a world right now where Black Lives Matter and say her name is front and center, we still very much, Social Justice Council is still very much involved in, voting rights and registration, LGBTQ initiatives, and we're just very excited to have a council. I'm very proud to have someone on my team who's on the council. So it's just kind of what we discuss, how we want to be able to implement it, and most certainly also utilizing the resources that we have and our advisors through the process, which would hopefully gain us some long-lasting relationships that can extend past just this season.
We'll go over to Ramona Shelburne with ESPN.
Hey, Nneka, it's Ramona. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, thanks. Hey, I was wondering just your reaction, not only as just as an individual, but as the head of the Players Association, to the comments from Senator Kelly Loeffler the other day, and who also is a owner of the Atlanta Dream, and sort of where you stand personally, but and also where the Players Association stands on her place in the league after the letter she sent to the WNBA about Black Lives Matter.
Well, to be clear, I can only speak on myself. It wouldn't be fair to, or I'm not even sure if it's even in our Constitution for me to be able to represent everybody when it comes to where we stand with that situation. But I mean, all I'd have to say is, if someone believes that and that's not what the league stands for, then you can leave. You don't have to stay.
Next, we'll go over to John W. Davis with Winsider.
Hi, Nneka, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. So as you're balancing everything off the court, and we've talked about that, in the past, you've been honored on, for postseason awards in the league, all WNBA, all defense, even MVP in 2016. What would it mean for you to be able to win one of those or multiple of those awards this season with everything that's going on in the Wubble?
I think Candace said it best earlier this week. This season doesn't have an asterisk next to it. It's an exclamation point. And in a lot of ways, I want a lot of people who follow us and who don't even to understand that, because, we are entertainment in a lot of ways, but, I feel as though the W fans truly value what we do, and the intensity and what it takes and the commitment and the sacrifice that we make. But this, as much as it's been hard for everyone, whether it's personally, financially, emotionally, in so many different ways, we're also the same. COVID shows no discrimination, and the effects of that on our world have certainly shown no discrimination. But at the end of the day, we can be very proud as a league that we still retained our jobs in this situation. There are measures that are being taken to ensure safety protocols, and also that we're women who are getting paid 100% of our salary in an age in which women are the first to get cut. Women are the ones who are disproportionately affected by layoffs and furloughs and such in this world, amongst other things. But if we're speaking solely to the pandemic, that's just kind of how it is. So for me to walk away with anything, most importantly, really just a championship, it's going to be extremely well earned. And this is going to be a season that no one will ever forget. So that's the goal, and that's why we're here.
Time for one more with Nneka. We'll go over to Nick Hamilton.
Hey, Nneka, how you doing?
Hey, Nick.
So obviously the WNBA has always been on the forefront of social justice, racial inequality, and things of that nature. And you guys have always kind of been on the forefront of things. Dealing with the Kelly Loeffler situation, it kind of reminds of what the Clippers went through with Donald Sterling. Have there been any talks? Because we've seen several players come out and say this has no bearing in our league. Have there been talks with players? You being the player president, what have you? Have there been any talks with players who are trying to work on trying to get her out of the WNBA?
To be honest, I feel like that's a league question. I really don't know how else to answer that. I feel like that's a league question. As players, we can speak our minds, and I've always believed, and I'm gonna bump this back to Candace again. We are inherently, in a political space, being female professional athletes. And it's interesting that Black Lives Matter is considered political, because it's not. It's a human rights issue. And so to bring politics into a space where many people out there now are saying that we shouldn't bring politics into the sport, is quite contradictory when, politics are being brought into politics. So when it comes to where someone will or will not go as far as ownership, that's a WNBA question for me.
Thank you, Nneka.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.